continuing off this question of, tradition and introducing students to something that's greater than themselves. Something that you mention a lot to the students is that this can be particularly difficult for underprivileged communities, specifically Black Americans, who, have been systematically cut off from their roots. At Benedict's, one of the biggest gifts is that we have alumni who return, who come to share their experience or just to be present. What do you think it means to students to be able to see alumni coming back, creating that sense of legacy?
Yeah, that's a great question, Stephen. I'm not sure I would have thought of this myself, but Dr. John Johnson, who graduated in the early 90s, is one of our guys who was a fencer here for us and is a professor at a university and in American history, and he's focused a lot on African American history. And he taught me that several years back here, that the biggest problem that we have in urban America in our schools has to do with legacy, because there's a story in every school building in every city in this country, right? In every school building in the country, there's a story in every family. It used to get passed on from one group to the other. But when African Americans got in schools, it was as if they weren't worthy of the legacy that had existed in the building, because nobody transmitted it to them. In fact, the exact opposite would happen. And you can hear it you still hear it. You still hear it. People talk about Newark. They say, oh, Newark used to be a great city. Well, if you're living in Newark now like I am, what it used to be, what does that mean? Now it's a dump, and I'm part of the dump. So what does that make me, right? And you hear the same thing about schools. Oh, that used to be a good school. Well, if you're the students in the school now, I guess that's saying to you, I guess we're not supposed to be that much. So this sense of connectedness the connection never got made in recent times in urban schools. What we have, and we didn't plan it, this is the Holy Spirit, this is the point of the whole thing here, is that the guys who graduated when we first started back in the 30s and 40s, when we reopened this in 1973, they connected with it immediately. So you had kids from the city who now had a connection with guys who went 10, 20, 30 years before them. And that has continued, because we have kids who come into school and say, Father Ed so-and-so told me to say hello to you. He graduated in 57. So when Benedict's guys see other Benedict's guys, they go up to him right away. What year were you? So we have a great interview here. In fact, Ed Bean graduated in 1939, and he's in an interview, I think it was with Olivier or somebody who graduated last year. And the similarities were unbelievable, that lasted for generations. So legacy is enormous, and most schools don't have it in the city, and we have it because whatever one of us represents all of us, and all of us is a huge group of people all around the world now, right? So it's important to realize that I belong to a line of people that have walked these hallways and gone through the same thing that more or less that I'm going through, and have benefited from it in one way or another.
Yeah, and I had an interesting experience of seeing how powerful this legacy is. As we were recording this, we're in the middle of being quarantined now, about 2 months into it. And some of our students created this program where we decided to reach out to some of our elderly alumni. Yep. So these are students like juniors and seniors calling Benedict's alumni who graduated in the 40s and the 50s, well into their 80s and 90s. And it's amazing to me to see that, people from such different ethnic backgrounds, from totally different generations, were able to forge this connection based on their common experience as Benedict students. It's kind of an amazing thing to see.
Yeah, it's overwhelming.